So I will now call this meeting to this public information session to order. It is 7 p.m. on July 20th. This meeting is to have a public information session on the proposed Coastal Link Trail system for the town of St. Andrews. Tonight, I will note to anybody who is on Zoom that you will be muted until after the presentation. We will go to each and every one of you with your questions or concerns regarding the Coastal Link Trail, which you will have the opportunity to speak with Tanya Harrington and David Johnson as members of the committee, and any other members, if they wish to participate, can at this time, and as well as anybody on Facebook. If you would like to post any questions or comments in our comment section, they will be presented as well. What we'll do tonight is we'll host the presentation. We will go through the questions and comments from the public. And once we go through them, and if we run out of questions or comments, we'll leave the meeting open for a little bit of time. If we don't see any other questions or comments, we'll end the meeting. But at this time, I will be tossing the meeting over to Tanya Harrington and the Coastal Link Trail Committee for their presentation on St. Andrews. So Tanya, the floor is yours, and you have screen to share.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Your Worship, members of council and members of the public, thank you so much for taking the time to attend this virtual meeting. My name is Tanya Harrington. I work for the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, and I work on regional recreation projects, and one of the projects I have the honor of working with, along with the Coastal Link Trail Inc. board. I get to work with the board to see this project implemented, this wonderful regional trail implemented. So I just want to take a second to highlight board members that are on the call right now. I made a note of a few board members I've noticed that joined the call a few minutes ago, so I apologize if I missed any, but we have Darren Turner. He is the chair of the Coastal Link Trail Inc. board. We have Laura Cooper, and we have Dave Johnson. So all these faces I'm sure are familiar to most of you, as they are St. Andrews local. And just to note as well, Dave Johnson is a board member and is also a member of Sortie as well, the Trails group in St. Andrews. So during question period, if there's a question that they're better able to answer, I may defer the question to one of our board members. So just before I share my screen with the dynamics of virtual meetings, I just want to quickly explain something. One thing you don't see right now is a very pregnant belly. I'm about 7 months pregnant, and around this time I tend to get a little uncomfortable, and so I might just kind of shift a little. If the meeting goes on for some time, I may choose to stand. So I just want to explain that, just so nobody thinks I'm getting antsy or ready to leave the meeting. So I just want to explain that with the dynamics of virtual meetings. So I'm just going to share my screen here. I'm not going to take too much time on the presentation. I just want to explain the project. We'll kind of give a quick overview of the project. And then the proposed route for St. Andrews, and I want to emphasize proposed because of course we welcome feedback. We really want the community to have a say in the proposed route, and certainly there's a willingness to change the route. So this is really just an overview of the proposed route, and want your feedback on what that looks like. So the project, the Coastal Link project, there's an emphasis on the word link because the whole genesis, or premises behind the project, the Coastal Link project, is essentially to connect the East Coast Greenway with the Great Trail, or maybe better known as the Trans-Canada Trail. So the East Coast Greenway stretches from Florida all the way up to Calais, Maine. So there's a touch point in Calais, Maine. And then in the Trans-Canada Trail, of course, there's a touch point in St. John. So the idea behind Coastal Link is to connect these two great trail networks, and this would essentially create the world's longest linear trail. So what a great thing to be able to accomplish by creating that connection. So Coastal Link Trail, that was the premise behind this whole the whole project. So back in 2018, A consultant, Dylan consultant, was hired to define what the route would look like from St. Stephen to St. John. And what was discovered was that the communities really wanted the trail to come into the communities. What was also discovered was that there are some beautiful rural roads that we have, rural quiet roads that are perfect for active transportation. So the defined route, if you can kind of see the concept here on the screen, 80% is on existing road infrastructure. So, and 20% of course on off-road trails. And a lot of those off-road trails are through municipalities. So with the idea of the route being 80% on existing roadway, a lot of the project will be focused on essentially creating safe active transportation corridors on our existing roadways. So that'll be a real push, an effort for this project. But of course, we are focusing first on the municipalities and establishing the trail within the municipalities. And this is a project that will be years in the making and essentially implemented in segments. So the idea behind this implementation of this project and implementing safe infrastructure would be to enable the community members and visitors to enjoy the landscape at a slower pace, reduce carbon emissions, and of course, increase physical activity. So back in 2018, the Coastal Link Trail was announced as one of 12 signature trails in the province. The New Brunswick Trails Action Plan, that's where that announcement was made. So this means that we have provincial support, tourism, heritage, and culture are behind, of course, the trail efforts with the signature trails. And then, of course, it also meant that at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, the project received $1 million in seed funding to begin the project work. So in the last couple of years, we've been working within the municipalities, within the communities. What's really important to the Coastal Link Trail Inc. is that we work within the communities, that there's a grassroots effort to really establish the community's idea of what the trail should look like, the trail connection, the Coastal Link should look like through the municipalities. So we've worked in each municipality with committees to establish what the best route is through each community. So of course, St. John, St. George, and St. Stephen, and now St. Andrews, to define what that trail looks like within the community. So to highlight, construction actually will begin shortly, soon here in St. Stephen. And so a great example of being able to align with the community's goals. These renderings are actually from a 2014 BIA report where there was recommendations behind upgrading their trail infrastructure on the waterfront. And so it was great. The Coastal Link Trail was able to come in alignment with those goals, and we'll be seeing within the next few weeks construction start to see that that become a reality, the upgraded infrastructure for their existing trail. So then that brings us to St. Andrews. So right now we're working within St. Andrews, and of course the whole point of this community meeting is to define the route and what it looks like in St. Andrews. So if I can just highlight, so the trail would come in to town. This is the 127, and essentially would connect with Marine Science Drive, and then go along Brandy Cove Road, onto Joe's Point Road, Water Street, and then connecting with the Van Horn Trail. So essentially all existing infrastructure. So existing roadway infrastructure and utilizing existing trail infrastructure as well. Coastal Link is so excited to be able to partner with Sortie, the trails group in town, to be able to use the existing trail, the Van Horn Trail, as the main spine. So that would be the proposed route. So just to go into a little bit more detail, when we talk about using existing infrastructure, just as I emphasized, one thing I didn't mention, so of course the Coastal Link is a multi-use trail. At its highest standard, we're looking to have the trail safe for cycling at its highest standard. The idea behind implementing on Marine Science Drive and Joe's Point Road along Water Street, so what that would look like is essentially we want to establish a more safe cycling infrastructure. So it was pointed out that Rose Point Road and Water Street, well, Water Street is a high traffic, but there's so many traffic calming measures already in place that traffic moves slow enough that there would essentially be a shared lane would be an easy implementation. So very little need to change any infrastructure. The idea would be to essentially have shared lanes. So what that means is at the top you can see shared lane single file operation. So that would be the idea. You don't necessarily have a designated bike lane, but it would be more so just better signage to inform vehicles that there are cyclists on the road, and since traffic is moving slow, there would be this opportunity for shared lane single file operation. And from what I've seen and what I've heard as well, that this is already happening. The cyclists are already using this infrastructure. So this is just basically an opportunity to see better signage for vehicles to know that there's cyclists and that they're sharing the road with cyclists. So this would be called a sharo, and essentially it would encourage this single file operation or side-by-side operation. So that would be, so very little change to the existing infrastructure, basically just better signage to encourage that safe, active transportation. There has been chats about any change to infrastructure could potentially be around the Brandy Cove Road. As I'm sure most of you know, it'd be great to see a little bit of upgrading to that infrastructure to see it become a little bit more safe for cycling and for walkers. So any change to infrastructure, that would be the main thing that we would love to see for upgrading of infrastructure. Everywhere else, essentially status quo, just better signage for safe active transportation. And then of course, connecting into the existing Van Horn Trail. The one thing I just wanted to clarify, so using all existing trails, this is already established. One thing that was noted in the flyer was a right at Bar Road. So actually the existing trail network that we're proposing right now is to take a left on Bar Road. Oopsies. So take a left on Bar Road and just connect to the trail through there. There is an opportunity, there's a potential opportunity for right and a trail infrastructure there, but at this point there are we're leaving it up to our partner Sortie to see if that would actually be a potential route, and at this point there's too many barriers to say that that is an actual potential route. So for right now, for the purpose of this meeting, it would be a left on Bar Road and using that existing infrastructure. So that would be it. I'll stop sharing my screen and just open it up for questions, comments, concerns.
Thank you, Tanya, for your discussion. I'm going to go to David Johnson to see if he would like to add anything to your presentation. So I'm just going to ask David to unmute.
Yes, hi, Paul. I think that was an excellent presentation, and where we currently are, I really have nothing to add to that.
Okay, great. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go to each individual person on Zoom first, and then we'll look at any of the comments on social media. So I'll just start and go through here. So I'm going to go to our first one. I'm going to ask Stephanie Turner if you have any questions or comments to Tanya Harrington on the project, please, or the rest of the board, please present.
Yeah, just one quick question. As part of this project, would there be any intent to add shoulders on the 127, at least inside town limits, on the Bayside side, as there is on the east side?
Within town limits, as it is right now.
Well, ideally to the highway, but I understand we're just talking about inside town limits here now. Sure.
So currently the route is on the 127, and so we do have a proposed, basically the infrastructure for safe cycling on the 127 would be extended shoulders on that segment. So as of right now, that is the current spine of the coastal link, and so yes, that would head into town and lead up right up to Marine Science Drive.
Good.
Thank you. It's Stephanie Turner and Rob Bridges.
Great. Thank you very much. Do you guys have any further questions or comments?
No.
No, thank you.
Great, thank you. I will open it up to Claire Kennedy and sorry, asked to unmute. And Townsend, you have the floor if you'd like any comments or questions. My apologies, I muted you. Not seeing it. Go ahead.
It's Lindy Townsend. Hey, Darren and Lara and Mr. Johnson. Our group has been looking at the coastal trails. First, we want to say we love the idea. It's great for the economy. It's great to link. It's good for health, all those reasons. The only question I have, and the worry for some of us who've been struggling to get clarity on any trail system, is I notice there's 80% of the trail that will be used that is public lands. What of the 20% that's left, is there an intention to confiscate private property or use some of the treaty lands of the Passamaquoddy?
No, so when I say, so 80% of the route on roadway and 20% on off-road segment, that's the entire trail. So do you want me to answer the question with regards to St. Andrews specifically, or for the entire, for the entire route, we're just using existing trails. Even the off-road trails are already established trails, whether it's within the municipality. Spruce Lake would be another example. That's not within a municipality, but they're already existing trails. But in terms of St. Andrews, it's just the existing trail that I pointed out. I can bring up the map again. So it'd be the existing Van Horn Trail that we would establish as the coastal link. So there would be no proposal for any new development of trails outside of that.
So there isn't any intentions to use a private waterfront property in this coastal link trail?
No.
Inside St. Andrews and outside?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate all the hard work and congratulations.
Great.
Okay. I'm just going to mute you there, Lindy. So I will go to Vic Miller. Vic, do you have any comments or questions? Sorry, I keep pressing the wrong button. Vic, go ahead. I'll let Vic come back in a second here. I'm going to go to, I'm just looking across the board here. Okay, we should have done that. Vic, you've got the floor.
Hey, you know that main road from St. Stephen to St. Andrews, the big highway up there? I can't remember the name of it, but it goes from St. Stephen's and then 127 goes down. Can you ride your bicycle on that main road now?
The infrastructure as it stands right now, I would say no. So we have we had a consultant do a study on what they would recommend as upgrades for safe infrastructure. One of the challenges that we're working with right now is DTI has yet to release a policy on safe road infrastructure for active transportation on their provincial roadway. So this study proposes upgrades, and we'll be working with DTI to see if that would meet the standards. Until the policy is released, we essentially have to take each route and say, this is the proposed upgrades. So I don't have a policy I can point to say that is safe road infrastructure, but according to the study that was released currently right now, the 127 heading into St. Andrews wouldn't necessarily be recommended for safe cycling. I think the study anyways mentioned that it would be only really expert cyclists that you'd want traveling on that roadway that are comfortable with high traffic and high speeds. So as it stands right now, I mean, I don't think we're not necessarily saying it's the route as it stands. We would say, Coastal Link would say we want to see that segment upgraded to see higher standards before we would encourage cycling on that.
Okay.
Roadway.
Does your group, eventually, do you have to start paying for some of the upkeep on this whole route, or is that already kind of built into the system?
That's a great question. That's a question we're still answering. I mean, each segment will be different depending on each. I mean, the municipalities right now at this point are responsible for maintaining the segments. Any segments on provincial roadway, there is, the idea would be that DTI would probably want to maintain those segments for the high standards, but that's all things that we're kind of answering right now and tackling those questions right now.
Okay, one last question. Is your PowerPoint available online, the one you used tonight?
It is not, but if I can send it to Mr. Noper and perhaps he can make it available.
Yeah, I can post it when you send it to me, Tanya. I'll post it to our Facebook page and our website, so it'll be easy available for anybody to look at.
Perfect.
Great.
Hey, that looks great. I appreciate all the work you guys, ladies are doing on this thing. It'll be a wonderful project when it gets completed.
Great. Thanks for your enthusiasm, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Sheila Washburn. Sheila, do you have any questions or comments on the Coastal Link Trail?
No, I'm fascinated by it. It sounds like a wonderful project.
Great.
I have a son who's a runner, and he's been running around town. And I thought I'd find out where the trail went, what's happening.
Great.
Great, thank you. Roger, do you have any questions or comments that you would like to make on this presentation? Roger, you're still on mute. There you go.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Paul. My name's Roger McNabb. I'm a year-round resident here in St. Andrews and been involved with the trails for a number of years now and on the board of Sortie. I can't think, Paul, of a greater, greener economic development initiative than the Coastal Link Trail. As you know, just recently, the towns received a fairly devastating blow at NBCC with the cancellation of 6 programs. And that means instructors are gone, and conservative estimate is about 100 students will be missing from our community during the winter. And those of us that live here year round, we rely on the summer season for our shops, the drugstore and the hardware store and the grocery store, to be able to make enough money during our 100 days of our tourism season to remain open through the winter and stay operate as a viable business. And that's very important for us that are year-round residents here in St. Andrews. So I think it's the municipality of St. Andrews should position itself to take advantage of the Coastal Link Trail that will bring in bicyclists to our community during our 100 days of tourism season to make sure there's enough foot traffic for our businesses to remain viable. And as you know, we in St. Andrews worked very hard the last 2 years to get our age-friendly designation, and certainly active transportation complements our age-friendly designation. And certainly the proposed trail uses public streets, so we're not inconveniencing anybody by changing routes. We're using public streets, so I think it's a very positive green initiative to position our municipality to take advantage of increased tourism of a nature that's acceptable to our environment here in St. Andrews. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Roger. Great comments and great feedback we're getting here. I'm going to open the floor up to Derwin. Derwin, do you have any comments or questions you would like to bring forward?
I'm wondering if the route from St. Stephen, would you come to the end of the waterfront trail, go up the Old Bay Road and down Route 170, 127?
Yes, that would be correct. Yes, yeah. There's a bit of a detour around Oak Bay camping that just goes up by
Louis Hill?
Exactly. It would just go up around to avoid higher density traffic. And
So you do not have to cross the causeway then?
no, the causeway that,
Go around it?
that's right, yes.
But you would have to cross the Axe Factory Bridge and the Warwick River.
That's right.
What will you be doing there to make it a little wider?
Right, that's a great question. So again, still working with DTI on proposed solutions. Our study, so the consultant that we hired was EXP, and what they recommended was just signage, proper signage for essentially notifying vehicles that there would be crossing of active transportation, pedestrian and or cyclists. So that would be the proposed solution that our study gives. Then we'll be working with DTI to see if that proposed solution works for them.
No chance of new bridges with wider, with dedicated lanes?
At this point, that was not proposed in the study for most of the crossings that we have. I mean, unless the DTI has indicated that, of course, if a route is designated as a active, sharing active transportation, that potentially when they replace the bridge,
Right.
that there would be consideration for
It would be
expanding
designed
that.
into it.
Exactly.
At replacement time.
Exactly, and it's an exciting thing to think that our policies can start to be upgraded to start designing roads more than just for vehicles, but for active transportation as well. So we look forward to that policy release.
And that $1 million you talked about, that was the entire project from Calais to, or St. Stephen to St. John?
So $1 million was the initial funding. So
Okay.
we that was essentially to get us started. That helped us to refer to a couple of studies. So that has helped the board to establish studies that are necessary for pre-design work and understanding what infrastructure is required, cost estimate. And then the part of the 1 million as well will be spent on the construction in St. Stephen. That's kind of essentially where we're starting our work, but we're anticipating more funding coming our way, hopefully from the province.
You're not going to spend the whole $1 million in St. Stephen though?
No.
Because most of it is already there.
There is a portion of the money being spent on construction in St. Stephen, but a lot of the funding is also going towards the, as mentioned, a lot of the engineering studies, and then there'll be some funding left over after that. In terms of project work, we're still working on what the next project looks like for the remaining funds.
And how do you, I remember some years ago, there was talk about doing something to get over the Musquash River. Are you just going to use the highway bridge there? Or?
Is it the Digdigwash or Musquash? Yes. Yes, we've got a couple of solutions that were proposed by a study. Essentially, there's 3 different options. So we're working within the community with, of course, the provincial government, and the board is kind of weighing the best options for what that crossing would look like. So a few different options.
What are you doing there?
So for the Digdigwash, it was identified that there is actually a route that bypasses that crossing that just kind of goes up and takes some quiet rural roads. And so the board...
Mason Road and...
I'd have to look up what the exact road is. I can bring up my map again, just a second here.
Yep.
I won't give a detailed map, but it'll give you an idea of the area that we're talking about. So essentially, you would be looking at this segment right here. So instead of going across here, it's essentially going up this roadway. This is the turnoff to go to Dominion Hill, or I guess it would be around here, right here, yeah. And then basically you're going up and then taking the highway. So these are all very quiet roads. And
Right.
it was established to upgrade that infrastructure for safe cycling is about a solution that costs about $170,000. So versus a crossing, a bridge that could potentially cost millions, this was considered a good viable route, and it follows a nice little river. So that was proposed as the main spine at this point.
And when is this all to be done?
Yeah, great question. So this is a project that's certainly a few years in the making. So the idea would be to implement in segments as we go. But of course, first starting within the municipalities, starting at the population bases.
Do you have any other questions, Derwin?
No, I don't think so.
Great, thank you very much.
Derwin, you're very informed on this project. Thank you so much for your interest. We certainly love to see that that your enthusiasm for the project.
So Tanya, I'm going to ask you a question. There's the only couple of people left on here that haven't spoken are members of the board. Would you like me to give them an opportunity?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Darren, you've got the floor. Take a second. We'll get you unmuted here. There you are. You've got the floor.
I have the floor. Well, first off, I just want to thank our project sponsors, tourism, also the regional service commissions, both of them, Tanya and Nick, and of course the board members for continuing what is a considerable effort and absolutely a great project. We're coming near to the end of the definition phase of the project. Here we are in St. Andrews defining the route. We have a few other parts to define, but in essence, we're coming to the end of what has been a very technical and complicated and intensive period of project development. So well done to the team. And as Tanya's mentioned, thank you so much to everybody that's displayed an interest in this project. You know, holistically, we're looking, as Roger mentioned, increasing tourism, increasing our own health and the health of visitors. You know, we're looking at economic development, again, as Roger mentioned, if we can bring new businesses to the area, such as e-bikes, ecotourism. There could be some very, very new beginnings here. And also with population attraction as well, maybe we can bring those folks back through popular demand. So there's a lot of great holistic objectives here that we're trying to accomplish. We've got some issues going forward, as Tanya's mentioned. We will be going back to our project sponsors fairly soon at the end of definition with a lot of the questions to get answers, as Darwin has brought up. You know, getting some policy straightened away, getting a timeline on those policy implementations, and then aligning all of the priorities of work from the other departments so that we can align the implementation phase collectively throughout the southwest of the province. So lots of great work has been done, some amazing work to come, and we're going to see this unfold hopefully quite quickly. As we get everybody at the higher levels, those folks that have the resources that we don't, as we align that, we can see some good movement forward. So again, I just want to say thank you to the team. Thank you for everybody that's actively engaged in this. And I've just come back from Latvia, where I was doing project development for the last 10 months, and I took keen notice of their active transport corridors. And it's an amazing thing to see half the population on bikes and e-scooters going to work, going to do things that they love to do. And it'd be great to see that here. So thanks, everybody. And we'll keep everybody posted as to our progress. Thank you so much.
Welcome home.
Hey, Brad.
So we'll go to Laura Cooper. Laura, you have the floor if you have any comments or questions you would like to add to the discussion.
Hi there. You can hear me okay?
We can hear you fine, Laura.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah, no, big thanks to Tanya. That was an excellent presentation. And to Darren's comments as well. This is, I think, you know, it's an excellent project. It's been years in the making. There's been a great group of volunteers that have been working on this for some time. And, you know, I think you know, there's so many positives to bring to the community here. We do have a lot of work ahead of us. But, you know, I think with community engagement and community support, we'll be successful. If we can, you know, come to an agreement on this spine route through all of the communities, there is federal infrastructure funds that are available that, you know, if we're ready to move forward with a project, hopefully we can move quickly and get some funds to start implementing some of the segments. That would be great to see in the near future. So we'll be continuing to work hard with all levels of government and stakeholders on that. But I really don't have anything to add. I think Tanya did an excellent job covering the project.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Laura. At this time, Point Council, everyone has had an opportunity, and Tanya, everyone's had an opportunity on Zoom, and we don't have an official comment on Facebook. So at this point, Mayor Naish, we can open up the floor to Council for a couple of quick questions or comments to this project, and then we can wrap it up. Mayor Naish, you're on mute.
Am I back off?
You're good.
You're good. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine, Mr. Knopper. Let's open it up to council if they have a couple of comments. I just want to say thank you, Tanya, and you're doing really well. You haven't fidgeted at all. You're fabulous. And it looks like you're feeling well. I'm glad for that.
Thank you.
Okay, council. Any questions?
Yeah, Your Worship, I just wanted to echo your comments and thank Tanya for, I know she met with council, but we really wanted to make sure that we gave the public an opportunity to provide some input on the route. We didn't just want to implement a plan without, again, giving the public an opportunity to provide some feedback or at least ask some clarifying questions. And a big thank you to staff for lining this up so quickly for us. This was just presented to council just recently, and I don't know about the rest of council, but I think I'm ready to bring this forward to vote now.
I agree. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Thank you, Tanya, for all your hard work and your committee's hard work. And thanks, Paul Knopper, for doing this, because without you, this wouldn't be done. So yes, I'm looking forward for it going on. Thank you.
Councilor Group.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the entire team for all the hard work they've done. I'd like to thank also the Kiwanis Club for having started this whole thing many years ago. And it is an important asset for our community. And I think that it's very important that we did this consultation, heard from the public, and heard many positive comments. And I think that it was important that we get that feedback from as a council, and I think we're now ready to move forward.
Thank you, Councilor Grew. Councilor Bishop, do you have any comments?
I know we've been talking about this project for quite a while, but just hearing from Tanya about what's proposed, it just sounds like such an exciting project. I know it's a big lot of growing pains to make this happen and everything like that, but it'll be a big addition to our town and our area. So thank you to all people that were involved in making this happen.
Thank you, Councilor Bishop. Councilor Gummichel, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Knopper. Nothing really to add. Just I guess looking at the map of New Brunswick there that Tanya had up, you can see how much easier it would have been for the trail just to skip right by St. Andrews from St. Stephen to St. George. So it's been a lot of work from a lot of individuals over the years to make sure that the trail does come into town. Some of us are still holding out hope for the reestablishment of the Diggity Wash Bridge. Might get some buttons made up. And I just want to thank everyone for all their hard work. And I wore my Kiwanis shirt tonight in recognition of all their hard work over the years. And I can't say how excited I am to see this partnership coming to fruition, and very excited for the future of active transportation and cycling tourism in our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gumichel. Now, I will point out one comment that has come in, and I will say it's from Councillor Harrison. He says this is a great idea. So it seems like Council is all positive with this. Mayor Naish, I'll leave you with final words if you'd like to say anything else.
No, I think that's great, and I agree. I think the time is now to try to move forward. I think we'll have to get a little bit more input. We'll have to meet as council and talk about some of the things we've had some preliminary discussions, as was raised earlier, about the route and the reestablishment of Brandy Cove Road across the golf course, and we've already had those initial preliminary discussions with the senior people at the Algonquin, and that went very well. And so we've got some things to work out there. It is a public road, and to reinstate it, there is going to have to be some money. So thank you, Lara. We're already aware of the fact that there is federal money that could be available for this, and we're working our way towards that already. So thanks.
Great. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just go to one last comment on Facebook, and it's from Tracy Anderson, who says, great presentation. Very excited to see the trail project finally moving forward. So it sounds like we're getting a lot of positivity back from the community. And again, I will thank all members of council that participated this evening on Zoom, all members of the public through Zoom and through Facebook. We thank you for your comments. It's very important that we have community feedback, especially on aspects like this of such grandeur with economic development, tourism, health, well-being of our community. So again, thank you very much for participating. It is now 7:41 p.m. on July 20th, and we will end the meeting here. So thank you very much for everyone for participating, and have yourselves a wonderful night.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I know.
Have a